What's up, Taiwan? I'm Yvonne with news from here in Taiwan and around the world. Nvidia's plans for an office in Taipei have hit a snag. The land rise for its proposed location. The city government is pitching a smaller plot nearby as other cities raise their hands. But the central government says it has stepped in to help and that the world's largest company has given them a deadline. Chris Gorin reports.
Nvidia's planned regional HQ building touches down at its proposed Taipei location, the highlight of a keynote speech at this year's Computex trade show. But when it comes to the real-life landing site for this ship, Taipei, we've had a problem. Construction at the firm's preferred location in the city's northern Shilin-Beitou districts has stalled over land rights. The current contract holder, insurance giant Shinkong Group, reportedly wants $460 million to hand it over to Nvidia, over $300 million more than they've paid so far. That has some city councilors asking, who will pay?
台北市民可以接受吗？土地被人家占着不用，然后3年4年后可以涨价100亿，要台北市来赎身。那他如果不是跟台北市拿，那他就是跟辉达拿咯。
The dispute is over 2 plots of land, known as T17 and 18, at a city science park occupied by Shinkong. Given the land rights dispute, the city is now suggesting this nearby alternative plot, but it's smaller and would likely require buying up adjacent private land to meet Nvidia's needs.
T17、18到现在为止是没有办法继续谈下去。那原则上他们现在会就12来做研究，我们会来这个帮他做整合，那依相关的法令来办理。
A new regional headquarters from the world's largest company with its Taiwan-born CEO would be a prize for any city. And now, Taiwan's central government is stepping in to assist Nvidia, saying other cities are still on the table.
我想辉达当然是有他自己的这个考量嘛，哈。那现在他当然现在还在关心的就是北四科这块地嘛。但是据我们了解，辉达也跟我们表示说，他也不排除其他的地方了。
Cities across the country have already raised their hands. Nvidia has asked the central government to provide a list of suitable locations by October 24th. Until then, the ship may have to remain in orbit. Devin Tsai and Chris Gorin for TaiwanPlus.
A new report shows Beijing is stepping up military activity around Taiwan and using hybrid tactics to undermine trust in the government. Ellen Lu reports on how Taiwan's defense ministry plans to respond.
This new defense report says Beijing is ramping up its gray zone warfare, part of what Taiwan's government says and efforts to intimidate the country. Taiwan's 2025 National Defense Report, released on Thursday, says China is speeding up its military modernization and has been combining conventional and unconventional tools, from gray zone tactics to military measures.
主要的内容是呈现过去2年国防施政的实质成效，以具体的事项及数据来展现国防事务的透明度。 对内争取全民对国防事务的了解与支持，对外向国际社会表达我国维护区域和平稳定与坚定自我的防卫决心。
The report highlights Taiwan's plans to focus on using asymmetric tactics and decentralized operations, not just on land, sea, and air, but also in cyberspace, in a concept called multi-domain denial. It calls for more practical training, improved joint operations, and a stronger reserve force, in the hopes of deterring Chinese military provocations and safeguarding the Taiwan Straits and broader Indo-Pacific region.
多域拒止为建立多层次的防御纵深，它是依照虚六战略的一个政策及不对称作战的思维，针对各种敌情威胁态样及作战形态，严拟克制制胜的一个战术战法。
Taiwan has recently been facing a surge in drone harassment from China, also part of Beijing's gray zone tactics. The report says troops will stay alert to these threats by conducting more night drills and equipping them with jamming guns, rifles, and machine guns, with the goal of eventually deploying dedicated counter-drone system. Printed copies of the reports are now on sale at select bookstores. It's also available online and in English, a sign that the Defense Ministry wants the world to understand the threats Taiwan is facing. Fu Hua Hong and Ellen Lu in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan's economy minister says the country's oil refiners are willing to comply with the international sanctions on Russian crude oil products, including Naphtha.
我们的民间厂商来做沟通，他也愿意配合。
那他愿意配合，
对，
愿意配合怎么配合法？
如果欧盟明年说不能买，他就不买。
Taiwan joined Western allies in putting harsh sanctions on Russia after its invasion of Ukraine in 2022, but it did not explicitly ban energy imports. Last week, a group of NGOs released a report criticizing Taiwan for importing nearly $2 billion worth of Russian naphtha. The fossil fuel product is mainly used for plastic chemicals used in chip making. It's mostly imported by Formosa Petrochemical, Taiwan's largest private refiner. A spokesperson for the company declined to comment on the minister's remarks. U.S. President Donald Trump says a deal on the war in Gaza is near. There's some optimism on all sides, but this is not the first attempt to solve the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. John Van Triest has more.
Okay. I'm just given. Yeah, I was just given a note by.
This could be the moment remembered as the beginning of the end of the two-year war in Gaza. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has just handed U.S. President Trump a note saying a deal on the Middle East is near. How soon is hard to say. Despite recent peace talks, this view from southern Israel overlooking the Gaza Strip shows the night sky burning with flares and blasts Wednesday. But from all sides, there are signs of confidence that peace will come soon. Hamas says an agreement to end the war, withdraw Israeli troops, bring in aid, and exchange prisoners is settled. Israeli PM Benjamin Netanyahu wrote on social media in Hebrew that he will gather the Israeli government to ratify the agreement. And U.S. President Trump may be headed to the Middle East soon.
I may go there sometime toward the end of the week, maybe on Sunday, actually, and we'll see. But there's a very good chance negotiations are going along very well.
The details aren't yet clear, beyond a ceasefire, a release of Israeli hostages, and a withdrawal of Israeli troops to a line that all sides agree on. Aid trucks will also be allowed into the Gaza Strip, helping ease a deep humanitarian crisis there. For Gaza's residents, any end to the violence and destruction of what's now just over 2 years will be welcome. Gaza officials say over 67,000 people have died since the war began, with those who've survived left to deep suffering.
Today ends 2 years of suffering. There is no food or good water, and crossings are blocked. We're suffering. We're in the street. Our kids sleep in the streets. Yesterday and today we bought drinking water, but there's no medicine. We're staying in the street. Where do we go? There's no mercy.
There's deep pain in Israel, too, where mourners gathered to commemorate the 2 years since the October 7th Hamas attack on Israel that killed 1,200 and saw the abduction of over 200 hostages. Israeli President Isaac Herzog condemned what he called growing anti-Semitism in the world, but also looked forward to the release of hostages and maybe peace.
I thank our friends from around the world for their messages of solidarity and condolences, and I extend special thanks to President Donald Trump for his tireless efforts to bring our hostages back home, to bring about real change and a new direction in the Middle East.
Whether the peace will hold is another matter, though. Some, like Israel's far-right Minister for National Security, have insisted on the complete destruction of Hamas. He's threatened to quit the government if this doesn't happen. On Wednesday, he spoke at the Temple Mount, the most sacred site in Judaism and third most sacred site in Islam.
Every house in Gaza has a picture of a Temple Mount, and today, 2 years later, we are winning on the Temple Mount. We are the owners of the Temple Mount. I only pray that our Prime Minister will allow a complete victory in Gaza, as well as the destruction of Hamas. With God's help, we will return the hostages and we will win a complete victory.
Decades of wars, peace talks, and accords have failed to solve the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. The question now is, will this one have what it takes? And if not, what then? Hank Xu and John Van Triest for TaiwanPlus.
China is putting even more restrictions on its export of rare earth minerals. The country's Commerce Ministry has ordered new limits on processing technology, overseas cooperation, and exports to defense firms and chip makers. The new controls are added on top of ones already imposed in April, part of an ongoing trade war with the United States. Despite the name, rare earths are naturally abundant but hard to find in pure form and are costly to produce at scale. China has had a near monopoly on the processing of rare earths used in the defense industry since the 1980s. Taiwan will celebrate its National Day on Friday. Ahead of the occasion, the country's overseas representative offices are holding their own celebrations, not just to mark the day, but also to highlight Taiwan's presence on the global stage. Cadence Coranta reports.
Taiwan's national anthem sung loudly in Washington, D.C. As Taiwan's representative office there, its de facto embassy in the U.S., hosts a celebration for Taiwan's National Day, an event that Taiwan's representative to the U.S. used to declare the country's importance on the global stage. At a time when some are questioning the U.S.'s commitment to Taiwan's defense under U.S. President Donald Trump, he also emphasized U.S. support for Taiwan at all levels of government.
Beyond Capitol Hill, support for Taiwan resonates across the United States. 30 state legislatures have passed resolutions affirming closer economic cooperation with Taiwan, championing our international participation, and rejecting the distortions of China's diplomatic pressure. These actions speak volumes about the depth and breadth of American friendship with Taiwan.
Taiwan does not have official relations with the U.S., but it does maintain unofficial ties. Watching on were several influential figures from Capitol Hill, including former U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and the chair of the House Select Committee on the Chinese Communist Party.
Taiwan's importance is about more than trade or technology. It's about what Taiwan represents, a free and open society thriving in the face of immense pressure. The Chinese Communist Party has intensified its military exercises, cyber attacks, and economic coercion, hoping to intimidate a democracy that refuses to back down. The United States stands with Taiwan against that coercion.
This is just one of many such celebratory events held across the U.S. and around the world, largely organized by Taiwan's representative offices. This is the scene in New York. And in New Delhi, and Bangkok, across many cities, Taiwan's democracy was brought up again and again, and its strength against authoritarianism, a reference to its neighbor, China, which claims Taiwan and has not ruled out the use of force to bring it under its control. This in London.
We are here to show our respect for Taiwan's history and unique identity, your peaceful, democratic evolution, and your right to continue to live as you are, determining your own future.
Taiwan will also hold its own National Day celebration on October 10th, a large annual ceremony that will gather nearly 200 foreign dignitaries, including from Latin America, the Caribbean, Europe, and other parts of Asia, and President Lai Ching-te is set to speak. So, as Taiwan celebrates this special day, it's also using it as an opportunity to emphasize its connections to other nations and its never-ending fight for recognition and respect on the world stage. Justin Wu and Cadence Coranta for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. You can visit the TaiwanPlus website or follow our social media for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally, we leave you with images of Taiwan's military rehearsing for the National Day on Friday. I'm Yvonne Yang. Take care. I'll see you next time.
For more stories from Taiwan and Osaka, download the TaiwanPlus app.